Well, comments today from Roberto Mancini about Jack Rodwell. Came to the club really with a bit of an injury record at Everton, but they probably hoped they could iron things out. But he's barely played. He's made only 6 appearances so far, and it's a hamstring problem. We tend to look at hamstrings as pretty routine in football terms, but at their worst, they can certainly interrupt and potentially finish a career. Stuart Mills from PhysioRoom.com joins us now. Hi, Stuart.
Hi, good afternoon.
It's one of those kind of injuries you probably think people would have a great deal of sympathy for. It's only a hammy, but as we said, at its worst, it's a terrible injury, isn't it?
Yeah, for some players it can be an ongoing injury. It can reoccur for the player. Be an ongoing problem for that individual.
Why is it more of a problem for some players and not others?
I think for some players they may get an initial hamstring injury, get a weakness to that particular muscle, and then they get a reoccurrence where that weakness is in the muscle. It just reoccurs time after time.
Is there anything you can do to strengthen it, to counteract it?
I think in Rodwell's case, he's in probably the best hands he could be, being at Manchester City. We did PhysioRoom.com. We did a review at the end of last season of the injuries sustained, and Manchester City came out best. So I think he's at a club where he will receive the best treatment. It does surprise me with Mancini's comments slightly, how he seems slightly surprised with the player and having these hamstring problems, because he did have hamstring injuries since December 2009. Has had recurring hamstring problems since then, so it shouldn't have been too much of a shock to him when he signed the player.
Have you come across players in the past that have had recurring hamstring injuries over a period of time, like Rodwell, but have come through it and have been relatively trouble-free afterwards?
Yeah, some players learn to sort of deal with it. They sort of change their lifestyle. They change sort of stretching and things like that. I think Ryan Giggs is probably the most famous example of taking up yoga and his approach to dealing with a period of his career where he did have a number of ongoing hamstring injuries, but he's learned to deal with them and get over them from there.
Yeah, he attributes it to yoga, but is it also a thing that when you get older, this is a young player's thing, that you can grow out of this, or is it something that doesn't work like that?
I think certain players understand their own body a lot better as they get older, and they sort of adapt their training regimes to a certain extent. Gary Neville was saying recently about Cristiano Ronaldo how he'd sort of ease off at the end of some sessions where he knew where his body was sort of reaching the limit really, and just do enough in certain sessions. And I think that's paid dividends for that sort of player who's had a relatively good period of being injury-free.
I suppose the other frustration is, if you go and break your leg, you're going to be out for a period of time. You get an Achilles, you've got a kind of idea of the time frame. But with something like this, when you just keep breaking down as a player, it must be really frustrating.
Yeah, I think particularly for Jack Rodwell, he was at one point being talked in the frame for Euro 2012, and then definitely for the Olympics as well. He was actually the sort of poster boy for the Olympics at one point, featuring in the Olympics kit, but injury prevented him from taking part, which must be particularly frustrating for the player.
Has it also got anything to do with the way players run? We've talked to Darren Campbell in the past about running styles and the effect that can have on recurring injuries. Is this something that can affect hamstrings as well?
I think it can make a difference in terms of the type of player as well. Tends to be more of an injury that occurs with wingers and that type of player where they are involved in more sort of short, sharp sprint type style of game, part of their game really. So it can have an effect on certain positions and on the pitch as well.
I think it leaves the player with a bit of a psychological problem as well, that they're reluctant, once they've had a few of these, they're reluctant to really burst through because they're always frightened it's going to go again.
Yeah, I think with certain injuries that can be the case, yeah.
Finally, Stu, I always enjoy your alternative league table on PhysioRoom.com, which is the English Premier League injury table. And I'm sure Newcastle fans won't be delighted to hear that they're top of the tree at the moment with a massive 10 injuries.
Yeah, we've had a lot of tweets and a lot of interest to PhysioRoom on Twitter about Newcastle being top, and it has coincided with them sort of dropping down the league as well and looking like they're going to be in a relegation battle for the rest of the season. So it has had a lot of interest, and Newcastle are top of the tree as well. with Villa not far behind, who've also had a bad spell recently.
Fulham as well. I mean, Fulham are second, where they've got 8 long. And you look down the list, influential players out as well.
Yeah, I think that's the key when it is some of the key players that have been out. Manchester City have also have got some key players out this season, with Company and also now Aguero out with an injury as well, where they were a lot better last season. They had one of the best records last season. But
a bigger squad to cope. I mean, you look at City; they've got 6 injured players at the moment, but so have Norwich, and Chris Hughton hasn't got the kind of squad that Mancini has got to deal with that, really, has he?
Definitely. I think City's recruitment policy in the summer wasn't perhaps as strict as it had been, but they've obviously signed Jack Rodwell, but also Mycon's had a number of injuries, and Xavi Garcia was out with an injury as well. So maybe they've not been as close looking at closely his players' injury records when they sign these players in the summer.
Good to talk to you, Stuart. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot.
Stuart Mills there from PhysioRoom.com. You can go to PhysioRoom.com. You can see that league table.